Welcome everyone to our panel discussion for our Choose Love and Join Hands in Truth and Reconciliation. My name is Brandi Hofer, founder of Color Me Happy Community Podcast, and your host today live. So we'll see how this goes. We have a beautiful panel, bigger than expected. I'm so excited that you are all here. To my right, we have Sarah Rurka and Tasha Hilderman from Home Hardware Lloydminster. We have Randy Noble, founder of Finch Images. Stephanie Monroe, CEO of Lloydminster Region Health Foundation. Tanisha Young, who is a part of the chamber. No? Shit. Look at it.
Sorry, as a community member today.
I'm here as a community member.
You're as a community member, but you're also part of the chamber, yes?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, okay.
That's for sure.
Okay, so that's too far of a stretch. And Doug, who is a very big part of Heart of Treaty 6, and we are all partners in this mural project, what we're doing. So I want to talk to you exactly about the inception of this whole project and how it came into fruition almost 2 years ago now. We've been working diligently within and around our community, and it has taken a really special evolution to get to where it is today. So I had approached the Lloydminster Region Health Foundation with a concept of revitalizing downtown and their building and making it a really just a more beautiful place and adding I would say aesthetically to their building. And we all know that public art can make any place into a thriving public destination. And they came back with this, we feel this can be more. And what they meant was more with the subject matter of truth and reconciliation. And I didn't know if I could do that. I didn't know if I was the person who could do that. And I guess they saw something in me that I couldn't even see in myself yet. And I had learning and growth to do myself personally. And it really began with how I felt and how I grew up. My mother was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer in 2013. And she would take me for these really long drives in northern Saskatchewan. And on one of these drives, we had this conversation about losing children and the children that had been lost in our family. And she said it was the greatest pain that she had ever played witness to in her whole entire being, and that she could never imagine that pain. And she told me, I am so happy that I'm going before you. And now and for a long time, our people in this community, our neighbors and our friends are in pain and have been in pain. And growing up here, I had played witness to separatism, not knowing how I could help or what I could do. And it came down to reaching out and finding community and finding support and using my creative gift. Gertrude Stein says this: the subject matter of art is life as it actually is, but the function of art is to make life better. And I had shared my thoughts and my feelings and my story with Tricia Rawlake, who I work with LPSD in our art academy. And she works with Clint Chokin, who sits with Doug in the Heart of Treaty 6. And this, I had shared it with her personally, and she actually shared my story with Clint. And I had talked to Randy. I phoned her one day and I said, this is what we would like to do. I'm not sure how I can do it. I don't know if I can. And she said, Brandi, it's not about that. It's about building bridges and bringing people together. And I think you can. So we teamed up. We are using Randy's beautiful photography as the subject matter and imagery in our mural project. And then Randy invited me to a Heart of Treaty 6 meeting. I went and I showed up, ready to listen and learn. And Clint stood up in this grand circle meeting and he looked at me and he said, "Brandi, can you please share your story of how you feel and what happened to you growing up in this community?" Of course, I was very taken aback and it was unexpected, but I shared, and it was one of the most beautiful experiences of my life to be accepted and heard in such a safe space, and to see how hard everyone is working in our community to come together and build bridges. And this whole project is really about empathy. Stepping inside someone else's shoes for just 1 minute. Knowing maybe and thinking and understanding what they have gone through. Because everyone has pain in their life, everyone has gone through something. And to know that and to practice compassion and love moving forward. And that's what this is about. People coming together. And that's what we'll be talking about here today. And we ask of you to support this project and to support what it symbolizes as a pillar of hope in our community. And here's Stephanie Monroe, our partner in the project, Lloydminster Region Health Foundation, a supporter from the very beginning, seeing something in me and seeing something in the people around this table. And we are all moving forward together. Home Hardware is the paint sponsor, and they have been from the very beginning. And of course, we're partnering with Randy. She will be up painting every stroke next to me on a giant scissor lift. So what does this really mean to the foundation from the inception, and how did it evolve for you?
Right, and first I'd just like to recognize obviously today that we are on Treaty 6 land, which is homeland of the indigenous and Métis people. And so from the very beginning, you know that the foundation thought that this could be so much more, and what truth and reconciliation really is for our, not only our community, but our province and our nation, and what we can do as a collaborative to make strides towards that. So, you know, this mural really is so much more than each and every one of us. It's more than all of us together as a collective. It's more than any organization. It will stand as a legacy for generations to come. And our community's commitment to opening our hearts and our minds to the injustices that unwillingly were thrust upon Indigenous people, and provide a symbolism of hope for the future. This project, amongst all of us, has taken fortitude, strength, and clarity and understanding to really understand what truth and reconciliation means. It's not just talking about it, it's actually putting that into action. And what we can do as a community, what we can do as a foundation perspective, and what it means for Indigenous peoples and every people's mental health. So this project really does, it addresses a lot of the calls to action under the Truth and Reconciliation. Surrounding health, as it will represent a space where people gather, both non-Indigenous and Indigenous people, and heal from health challenges that are a direct impact of intergenerational trauma. It will directly address the calls to action 18 to 24 surrounding healthcare, providing a healing space and a cultural recognition of Indigenous people, connecting us all and allowing everyone to heal mentally and learn and grow together, and truly joining hands and choosing love, right? So the foundation was able to support this through Project Sunrise, through our mental health fund, and only through the generous support of our donors. Things like this can't happen. Obviously, we all know that anything that we do takes money, right? And so none of this can be possible without the generous support of our donors. So together, Brandi and I have approached a lot of major corporate donors that we're waiting to hear back from. Obviously, community supporters like Home Hardware that are able to step up and be generous supporters for supplies and paint, and other donors that we've seen the money coming in already, that people that support this project, because not everyone knows what to do. And so this is a way that everyone can be a part of the project, is by donating, but this is what I do for a living, right? So this project means a lot to me, but at the end of the day, we can't have it. It won't take fruition without having those funds come in. So if you're wondering what you can do and what role that you can play in Truth and Reconciliation and being a part of it, it is to provide the funds and to help donate to this project that will stand for generations to come, and that not only ourselves but our children and our children's children will be able to look at this piece of artwork in our community and know, I just got goosebumps, and know what a impact it has had and helped a group of people heal and helped everybody heal as a community and really just recognize each other as equals.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. So I'm going to turn it over to Randy, and let's start back at that original phone call and how you felt and what this stood for you as a woman.
Yeah, sure. So obviously I was incredibly excited to hear about the project and wanted to help in any way possible. For me, it's about honoring my mother. It's hard without her. So, my mom was a bridge in the community of Hillmont, which is why I always use that term. So, she was leaned upon throughout the school to come in and bake bannock with the kids, teach them Cree. She brought dancers in, and it's so, I haven't talked about this part with you, it's so hard. But she was a residential school survivor. Her entire family went. My grandma went, my aunts and uncles. I have cousins who are only 13 years older than me who went. And they've all been affected. And my family is incredibly beautiful and strong. And I don't know how they did it, but they come through with such grace and such strength, and they all work so hard to help their own community and be the best that they can be. They're incredible people. So this is an outlet for me to do that and for me to help, and I'm really honored. Any chance that I can honor her, I'm greatly honored. So thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks for asking me. I just love it. It's a passion project. Obviously, I'm shaking from it. I think it's going to be a really special place for people to just come and pause and feel recognized, feel valued.
And that's, it's truly what it is about: acknowledgement for the past, and recognition of how we can move together.
Yeah.
Not forward, but just together in the future. And it starts with hearing and sharing stories and recognizing the trauma that people have gone through.
Yeah, Clint is he's so wonderful, and he talks about walking in both worlds, and my mom did that. Clint does that. His boys do that. It is a special type of person to be able to do that and build acceptance and encourage people on both sides. So Clint does a wonderful job of teaching and sharing his knowledge and making people feel safe on this side. And then when he's in ceremony and everything, same thing. He's raising his kids in such a beautiful way. I'm so proud of Clint. He's incredible. And my mom did the same thing. We didn't learn much about ceremony when we were younger because it was taken from her. She was a fluent Cree speaker, and her and her siblings still, I miss hearing them speak on the phone in Cree, but they're all still very fluent. And she spoke what they call Old Cree. And when I meet people from Onion Lake, they'll say that, well, your mom spoke Old Cree and it was beautiful, right? So people remember her, and it makes me very proud. But yeah, I need to gather myself and not keep crying, my God.
That's okay. Sarah and Tasha, can you please share your perspectives and why you think this is important in our community and how you feel?
Yes, we can.
Yes,
I guess just some background too. I had just always driving downtown, looking at that building, being like, I feel like we could do something with this. It's such a canvas. It's so big. It's such a big blank canvas. And then one day, and every time I drove past it, I'm like, I should talk to Brandi. I should talk to Brandi, and just never did. And then one day I messaged her, and she's like, we must be on the same channel because I just talked to Malcolm yesterday. Like, what? So that I just got goosebumps too. So you just feel like you're being guided somehow towards something greater than you. And then when she said, we think we're going to go ahead with this, we're going to go ahead with the mural. Are you guys in for sponsoring paint? Yes, we are. Obviously, I echo everything that Steph said in terms of the value of this for a community. And I think it's going to not only represent, it's going to mean different things to different people. That's the beauty of it, is it can be a very large and obvious recognition of where we've come from. And even just its location, like we've talked a lot about how it's going to be facing the north side. And when I explain that to people, the first question is, why facing the north? Well, this is a great opportunity to explain some of this history between Lloydminster and Onion Lake and other surrounding indigenous communities that we didn't grow up knowing. Right? So it'll have that element, and also it's going to be such a beautiful, colorful emblem of what Lloydminster is going to become in the future. When we had a meeting at Lakeland, our first meeting at Lakeland College about the missing and murdered Indigenous Women's March we were going to do, I think it was Vera, one of the ladies said, I feel uncomfortable coming to Lloydminster, and I don't know that I have people here. And it had never occurred to me, I didn't even grow up here, like I moved here when I was 20, and you just are like, oh, this is our town, this is what it is. And it never occurred to me that there might be some tensions or some relationships that predated that I'm not aware of,
Yeah.
or that some people might feel that you would ever feel not welcome coming to Lloydminster. That's not something that we want to, continue or have. So the idea that this is going to be something that's saying we as a community acknowledge the hardships that were in the past, but we're also looking for a brighter future, and look at this great big beautiful thing and as an opportunity with our children to take them down there and show them this art. I'm getting goosebumps again. And that's a good way to introduce knowledge and education, where sometimes you don't have that touch point. You hear about truth and reconciliation, it's 94 calls to action, only 13 have been done, and it seems big and it seems hard to tackle. And this through art is such an amazing visceral opportunity to really make a concrete change and a colorful and vibrant path forward.
Mm-hmm. It truly is. I don't want to say easy because it's not. Yeah. But it's just a way to represent something and giving people that visual recognition. Like I said, a pillar of hope, and when we think about everything that we've gone through in the past few years, we need those symbols and pillars
We do.
of hope.
My girlfriend Trista Cook works a lot with youth. She's an Indigenous makeup artist here in town, and she had me come and take photos for her at one of her classes that she was taking. And one of the things that was kind of said was the girls love following all these Indigenous makeup artists on TikTok and that, and seeing people in advertisements for like treatments and I don't know, Nike, I think, has some indigenous artists representing the Manitoba Mucklucks, and there's like, it's cool to look up and see someone who looks like me, right? Like, everywhere they go in town, not a lot of people look like them. And yeah, it was Janet and Vera were saying when they come to town, they're in a store, they make sure after they purchase, they hold their receipts. They have them in plain sight because they don't want to be accused of theft and whatever. Like, I have a friend who was Christmas shopping and same thing happened to her. She was followed around the store. So that type of stuff we can't fix. That starts at home, obviously, and hopefully this mural is a great conversation for people to start that at home when you're driving by with your kids. And my favorite conversations happen in the vehicle with my kids. They have nowhere to run. They're locked in and we have to talk it out, right? So yeah, hopefully I see that happening. I see it as a great piece to start those conversations on. Yeah.
Tasha, would you like to share?
Yeah, well, Tasha did say
Sarah. I was like, get the names. Sisters' names, right? Yeah, totally.
She said mostly everything I was going to say, just listening to these ladies there, representing lots of what I'm thinking. Yes, that one day, the first day we met those girls, and I heard the story of them feeling, unsafe or unwelcome, and we spent an hour or something, and at the end they were like, I'm going to feel a little bit better coming to Lloyd. I feel like I have people here
Well,
now.
we shared phone numbers.
Yeah, here, have myself number. We didn't even know these people, but we had this instant connection just through communication, gathering communication, connection, and I think, like we're all saying, this project is going to provide all of that for our community, not just through the building of the project. Like, look how much we've learned from each other already, and how much communication it's opening up to our community and with each other, and questions from us that we might have been afraid to ask or that we're timid to ask, and we have places we could go to ask them. That I think it's also going to be something, to your point about saying someone should do something about this, I think being from Lloyd for years, everyone drives by and says, someone should do something about that, whatever, downtown. So now someone is, and I think it's going to be a point of pride, which is going to be very cool for the community.
Yeah. Actually, and I feel like the universe, or whatever you believe in, the stars, if you have faith, every step of this has felt guided in some way, because Stephanie and I actually met for the first time 5 years ago, and she said to me, gosh, you should paint the parkade.
Yeah, it might even have been longer than that.
Yeah, it might have been maybe 6 or 7.
I was on city council, and I thought, because it was the downtown area redevelopment committee planning, and I thought, yeah, you should paint that parkade, Brandi.
And we were both in different walks and seasons of our lives.
Yeah, for sure.
And for it to come in full circle to these moments, and this summer, which we haven't even said when we're doing it, we're starting installation June 30th, and it's a 10 to 14 day install, and we have a team in place to install the mural. It's a very big project. Lots of heavy duty equipment is required, and so we actually will be having and hosting and announcing a ceremony for everyone to come and be involved and place their hands. It's an interactive mural after it's done being painted, and then that will be weather sealed into the mural, everyone's hands, so they can vow to choose love moving forward. And Tanisha, I would love to hear your perspective of what this means to you.
Well, after listening to each one of you guys, this is hard to follow up on.
No, you'll do great.
But I want to say, I only just found out about this mural at the Inspiring Women's Conference, actually, and when I heard it and when I was listening to you guys talk about it on stage, I just kept nodding my head like, yes, yes, yes. And there's so much in those images that you guys have, there's so much representation in each part, in each element. There's just meaning, and that's huge in Indigenous culture, right? I mean, you look at our medicine wheel, there's 4 colors there, but those 4 colors go into so many different things. They go into animals, and they go into life and stages like that. So you guys really hit the nail on the head with that one too. And the fact that it's facing the north too. So it's welcoming. It's going to be that welcoming aspect that we don't have, because a lot of people don't feel comfortable coming here. And as somebody who's been walking in both worlds, what I like to say is nianin inueak, walking in both worlds. It's hard. It's hard as an Indigenous person learning to walk on both sides and walking in that corporate world and being the one that everybody turns to. And, you know, that welcoming sign that we're going to have is going to bring more people into the community and make them feel more comfortable. There's just so many good things about this project, and the opportunity to work with a younger artist who's aspiring too is amazing. So when I heard you guys announce it at the Inspiring Women's Conference, I was like, I have to be a part of this. I'm gonna have to bug them to like let me go. So, but yeah, like my community's Cumberland House, Saskatchewan, and Treaty 5, and it's about 8 hours north. So my family's all from far away too, and so I feel a little bit disconnected, and I feel more comfortable when I do see more people like me, like you said, right? More representation in media and stuff like that, and that's really gonna hit home. So thanks for having me, and as a community member here, and that's it.
We are happy to hear everyone's story, and we welcome everyone to reach out, and we welcome everyone to ask questions and be a part of this in any way that they feel like they can be. That's what it is about, essentially. And we are doing a mentorship program. It is up now. We are accepting 2 applicants. So it's going to be a person who is interested in helping install the mural, learn about mural processes, and they will receive an honorarium for helping. And they can find more information on the donation page, the Lloydminster Region Health Foundation donation page, and we will have the link in the notes as well. And you can learn more about how you can be a part of the mentorship program. The whole point is to if someone is interested and they want to learn about this, I will help them, because murals are hard. I just finished recording a class, and it has 36 videos. That's how hard murals are. To know the materials you need to use, and the equipment, and the time required, and working with communities and people. And so I would like to mentor 2 people through that, so then they can go and share their creative gifts with the world. This is not something I want to or can do alone by any means. And if I can take this opportunity to teach another person or more people how they can do the same, then that just sets our community up for more beautiful opportunities and creativity in our community. Because what do we turn to when we need help? What do we turn to when we're down? We turn to poetry and music and all of the writing, creative outlets, and what art represents to a whole culture. It's a way to come together. Doug, can you please speak about the Heart of Treaty 6 and from when you found out about the project and what this means? And are you able to share the story about the North symbolism?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. Let's start with that.
Yeah.
We've been told, and in reference to the history of this area, that many First Nations are to the north of us, and to come to a major urban center like Lloydminster to do your personal shopping and banking and professional services, health needs and things like that, that at one time it was fairly well known that Aboriginal people would sit on the north end and wait to come into Lloyd. They would have a camp there perhaps, and perhaps the concept of welcome wasn't exactly what we were talking about there. We were talking about needs, the necessity to do this kind of business. We're also talking about a world that was very ingrained. I mean, the school system, the residential school system was in full blossom, if that's a proper term. It was the beginning of generational trauma, which we continue to hear about, which is an obvious fact in all of this. passing on of that. And that culture and the meeting of these new immigrant people in the settler community and Aboriginal North, I don't think it was a particularly good mix. It's done. It's done. It happened. And I think this, when you came aboard and when you were talking with the Health Foundation about maybe taking that image of not being welcome in the North and welcoming now, I think that will have a major bearing on future attitudes. On behalf of Clint Chokin and myself, who are co-chairs of the Heart of Treaty 6, we are very pleased that you've come to us as well with the plan, and we want to be able to support it through our members. We're pushing 40 organizations now that are part of us, 40 organizations and businesses, everything from municipalities to town councils, city councils, both school systems in town, Lakeland College, the Chamber has been a big part, the RCMP. I mean, it's just the beginnings of things. It's taking a long time. I read this quote that something about Abraham Lincoln once said, and he had a few problems to deal with. He said, "I may be slow, but I don't walk backwards." And I think that's the way reconciliation is. I think that's really important for us to remember. 7 generations is 125 or 135 years. It takes a long time, and we're finding that out with the Heart of Treaty 6. I like what you said about being in a safe place to talk. This is like a safe place. You can feel the safety and the support around this group right now, but that's what the Heart of Treaty 6 does. It creates a safe space, an opportunity for people to plan activities, to come back to discuss them. And now we've got a coordinator. We have a person working for us, Carly Bigelow, who is going to already start to make some waves in the community in terms of better communication. So we're really honored and pleased, Brandi, that you came to us. And even though I think Clint put you on the spot, like you said, that was a critical moment for all of us, for you to hear. And when you hear the emotion around this issue, Clint and I had the privilege of bringing Senator Sinclair to Lloydminster. I mean, physically bringing him here after the committee. We spent 7 hours in a car with, to me, the icon of Canada right now. That had a pretty big effect on me. Clint and Senator Sinclair were in the front. I sat in the back and listened and tried to, every so often, make an input. But wow, that was an event that really stuck in my mind. And one thing that Murray Sinclair said, and it has stuck with me from 5 years ago, he was asked, what is reconciliation? And he just put it into simple terms. He said, reconciliation is making friends. I don't know what else you can say. So we're neighbors right now. And now we've got a path to go forward. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And again, I welcome any questions that anyone has for myself or any of the panelists. And Jenny will put her hand up and let us know. We also have Kristen Hickman from Red Banjo Studios today capturing everything we're doing, and she will be capturing the process of what we're doing too. And when we talk about projects of this scale, it really takes people working together and, like you said, making friends. And we don't always know how that looks. And I feel like there's fear, and we have to step beyond fear and step outside of ourselves in this and feel uncomfortable and lean on one another. It's just, I keep coming back to the word empathy, because we have to recognize what is going on and just, yeah, work together.
Sure, and I just want to say that, you know, how we feel in here, how we feel in our hearts, that's really provokes how we feel mentally within our minds, right? And so that, again, just if you're feeling more welcomed within your heart, if you're feeling like you are joining hands and you are choosing love, you will feel a better mental health capacity. Your mental health will improve because of a project like this. And so I actually had the honor of knowing Randy and Ricky's mom, Anne. And when I look at Randy, I see her mom, and she is a beautiful, beautiful soul and a beautiful person. And I recognize and I know why this is so important for Randy. Ricky Ducharme has been a very crucial part of this project as well, but couldn't be here with us today. So she did ask me to share a few words on her behalf. So if you're okay with me sharing those.
Of course.
So these are Ricky's words, not mine. So at this moment, I sit in a building on the Onion Lake Reserve called the Wellness Center. This building is a safe space for residents of Onion Lake who are experiencing trauma, addiction, sexual abuse, and assault, symptoms of post-traumatic stress, and the list goes on. With me are community therapists like myself, cultural therapists, addiction workers, outreach workers for schools, and so on. We are most likely sitting in a circle right now, discussing this week's cases and decompressing from a long week of crucial work supporting the residents of Onion Lake and beyond. I'm deeply sorry that I cannot be here with you today in person, but know that I'm here working to try and make a small difference where I can. Brandi, your mural, your undertaking is not just a mural in which the entire community will see a symbol of love and hope. It directly addresses calls to action from the Truth and Reconciliation Commission of Canada. It addresses calls 79 to 83, specifically call 79, where it asks artists or the arts community to develop reconciliation frameworks for Canadian heritage. This mural will, with its display of young female dancers, will shine out across the north towards Onion Lake and other northern communities as a symbol of love and hope. Tell me what you think this will do. How will a young Indigenous girl react when she sees a girl on the side of a building that looks just like her? To see herself there, proud and strong, to be represented in a beautiful, historical, cultural, and honorable way. What do you think that will do? It will say, you matter and we love you. We want you to succeed. We want you to shine your light outward into the world. And we want you to have everything that everyone else has. We want you to be proud of where you came from and who you are. Truth and reconciliation takes action. It needs people who are willing to do the work, not sit and talk about it anymore. Brandi, you have gotten off your ass, and you have shown Lloydminster what it takes to truly reconcile. This work is not just for Indigenous people, it is for you. All of you out there right now listening to do and to educate yourself. It is up to this entire community to open their hearts up and accept the past and work to change the future. Stop saying that I didn't know. Work harder to understand. Choose love, as Brandi has said. Hi, thank you. Sending my support and love, Ricky Ducharme, community therapist, Onion Lake Wellness Center.
I think one of the amazing things about what Ricky just said, we're both crying over here. We're all crying over here. One thing that we've said at work, like that saying, be the change you wish to see in the world. We've always said at the store, be the change you wish to see in Lloydminster. And it's so easy for us to be like, somebody should. I wish somebody would. They should really do that. There's somebody, like, I can't remember the exact quote from Glennon Doyle, but she said, there is no magic Wizard of Oz behind the curtain. It's just people that make a decision to make a change. And it's just getting together, and especially that power of community. Goosebumps again. Goosebumps are a symbol from the universe. That once you guys start talking, then you come up with an idea, and then it grows and grows and rolls and rolls, and that's how change is made. And that's how the future is different than the past.
Exactly.
Yeah. Sorry, it's really cool. Like the Indian camp at the north end of town. Like my grandfather would go there, right? And I remember storytelling's huge, right? T in our in our culture. And I remember at my grandma's funeral, we had a family friend of ours. He was driving the horse and sleigh where we had our casket on there, and he was like, I remember your grandpa, because I was just standing at the front with him. I was like, this is what I need to look at right now. I just was, letting everybody do their thing. And he was just like, your grandpa he was tall, he was fast, like he had long legs, and his nickname was like Fast Walking Man. And he could walk to town and back in a day. and like go in and get his supplies and come back, and like just these cool stories. So like it's like I get to honor him, and I didn't even meet him. He passed away before I was born. But it was cool to know that like people really know my family here, like the Carters, we're actually Chokins, I believe is the story. But the post office changed our last name to Carter because there was too many Chokins.
Sorry.
Just another thing that happens. It's like, you know what, anyway, so our last name is Carter. There's Whitstones, there's like, I forget all of the names in my family, but we are a very, very large family up there, and so I'm very excited to just be a part of it, and then have them come in and just see and be like, oh, like, here we are, we're here, right?
And for the young people to know and come
Huge.
back to their culture.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Like, there was a conversation Mom had with us when we were really young, and I asked Ricky if she remembered this, and she's like, I feel like we had a lot of conversations like this, and it's that there's 4 of us in our family. My brothers are beautifully brown skinned, so much darker than my sister and I, and my mom would say, you know, you girls are going to get treated differently than you boys, and it wasn't only just because of the color of our skin, but it's also because they're men, we're women. And she was kind of acknowledging the potential hardships we could all kind of go through, and boys, you're gonna have to really work harder, like yes, you're men, but you might have to work a little harder and really prove yourself to some people, right? And my brothers are very strong men, and they've done very well in doing that, and really, really proud of them. But yeah, and then Ricky and I, with this is our way to do it. Like, we can help. Ricky's right in there. She's in Onion Lake in the community and working, and you know, I want to do that as well, and so this is my way to help. And build bridges, make friends and build bridges. That's what we got to do.
And paint buildings.
And paint buildings. Try that out.
You know, and I just say, you know, if you're listening, and when you do listen in, and you feel like, what can I do? You can share this link. You don't need to, if you can donate, that's wonderful. If you want to reach out and you want to be part of the project, that's absolutely wonderful. But just press a button and share this link so that you can bring more awareness to what we're actually doing in our community and what this project means to so many people, and the connection that it's going to bring. So yeah, if you're wondering what you can do, just press share. That's a huge thing for so many people to just help raise that awareness. And everybody around this table today has such insight into the importance of this project. But until it's actually up there, until we actually see it, I don't think we're actually going to know just how much it means to so many people, and how long it's going to impact generations. And that's amazing. And the thing that, and I told Brandi from the beginning with this project, she's changed it a lot, and I know she's had conversations with different people, but I said it was always beautiful. No matter what, it was always a beautiful project. It was so much more than that. And what it's evolved to has just been amazing.
Steph said to me the other day, she's like, I just know this won't happen, but if we don't raise the money, what are you going to do? And I said, I'm going to paint the mural. But we still need your help, and we still want to raise the money. And what that means, and murals are a huge undertaking. We are revitalizing a building. We are, when you think about big, like the border markers or city signs, like the expense that goes behind these projects, we're talking something 2,600 square feet, big, like, and to have that landmark location in our community, like, it's actually a steal of a deal, if you ask me. But I am taking from my artist fee $25,000 so I can back into Project Sunrise. So this isn't just a mural. We are looking to do trauma programming in different areas of our community, sexual assault services through our school systems. This isn't just about, a pretty painting on a wall. This is about helping others. And so this is our way of doing that. We have put years into this. We believe in it, and we know that there are beautiful people in this community who believe in it too. And we can't wait to share with you, placing all of our hands on that wall at that ceremony, at that moment, and just hug and embrace one another. Actually, at the beginning of this project, Jessie said to me, I had this conversation with my friend Jessie, and she said, you want people who you can imagine hugging at the end of this and crying and just being proud of what you did. And that is what has happened. It is so beautiful and so special, and more than we can see or say right here to you today. Does anyone else have anything that they'd like to share?
I'd like to mention something about the word heart of Treaty 6. When our organization was forming from nothing, like it was a group of people, a lot of it started with the Economic Indigenous Summit, a lot of the same people, and people from the Office of Treaty Commissioner and so on. We were looking for a name. And when you look at the map of Treaty 6, when you look across, it starts in eastern Saskatchewan, goes all the way to the Rocky Mountains, and we're kind of in the middle, so the heart. But I'm sensing more and more as I go to these types of meetings, there is heart. I mean, it's not just a geographic term. This is a process, reconciliation from what I'm learning, and it is constantly learning, the slowness of it, which I mentioned, and the difficulty of it. Accepting, revisiting, asking forgiveness, making amends. These are all hard processes. It's like a long time something was wrong. You know, none of us are to blame for that individually. But when we look back, we have to kind of revisit our times, revisit our history. And I think having the emotion, the heart of it, I think will go a long way. And I mean, I can sense it from all of you here today, but I sense it every time we meet. And if you're interested in finding out a little bit more about us, I'm going to put a plug in for us.
I absolutely think you should.
Please take a look at us. We're on Facebook and we're on the internet, and come and join us as well. We have 4 groups. We have an education group, a health group, a community group, and a very active business group, which these ladies represent here. So there's lots of space, slow process. One of the things that we're seeing, though, is the richness in all these groups as they're doing things. It's not us that's doing it. Synergy has been an active player now, and I'll give them the plug. I mean, some of the amazing things. On Tuesday, we're opening an Aboriginal Center at Holy Rosary. It's a beautiful space. You're going to be there, and it's going to be something that's been worked on for a long time. But I'm seeing that in all the school systems around us as well, and some of the great work at Lakeland College. Just happy to be part of it again. Yeah.
How long has the heart of Treaty 6 been beating?
Well, I think it goes back when Office of Treaty Commissioner kind of ran it for us. My understanding is we were the second group in Saskatchewan. Saskatoon, with the university, the first. There's, I think, 12 now, 11 or 12. We like to think we were the second. We were asked, and I think a lot of it had to do with the economic summit, that there was things. Those of you who were at the economic summit last year saw Judy Wilson-Raybould. That's an example of the kinds of new awarenesses that are taking place in Lloydminster in this area. That kind of quality of person. And I mean, when she was speaking, there was about 400 people there. She was quiet and very meaningful and thoughtful, and nobody moved and listened carefully. And then those young people asked a bunch of questions. That's the kind of spirit I see in our community right now.
We do have a very special community. I see it all the time, and I'm honored to be a part of it. I wouldn't rather be anywhere, that's for sure, except somewhere in February for sure. Just a tiny little blip. Does anyone else have anything they'd like to add or share?
I was just gonna say, I love that we, as a border city, we have lots of challenges being a border city, but I love that we can represent 2 provinces with this. I think that's really significant, that we're able to say, look at what we're doing for both of these places, and can be leaders in some of this for 2 provinces.
Yeah. And part of this is for everyone to feel represented. We talk about that all the time. We have a lot of phone and text conversations because that's what makes huge projects like this come together. The work that goes into it as individuals and as a group. And so we do talk about the symbolism that will be in this so everyone can feel a part of it because inclusion is part of the initiative.
Absolutely. And, I'm a lifelong learner, and I think that we all will continue to learn. And this project also, once it's completed, will be a learning piece for everyone to continue to learn and grow in each of our journeys, because nobody has all the answers to anything. So it will be a reason for people to ask questions and understand. And I think that will also help with the whole truth and reconciliation process as well. So again, if you want to find out more information, our website is www.lrhf.ca, has all the information to be able to donate, to share the link, to get more educated on the project. And obviously Brandi Hofer Studios, Home Hardware, anybody around this table, Finch Images, we'll all have information on all those websites, Heart of Treaty 6, so that you can get more information on the project and reach out to Brandi if you're interested in being a part of it. So,
Thank you so much for being here today. I sure do appreciate your time. And I look forward to this early summer where we're going to make this happen. Thanks for tuning in, everyone, too. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
That's great. Yeah, we're good.